Welcome to another CEO Wisdom Pod. We have Shaina Denny with us. She's franchising Dog Drop. She's the CEO and co-founder of that beautiful business, which we're going to talk about today. This podcast is presented to you by podfire.com. That's my podcasting agency. If you want to scale a podcast, if you want to monetize the unconventional way, go to podfire.com. Can help you do that. Shaina, welcome to the pod. Glad to have you on. Can you tell me a bit more about Dog Drop?
Yeah, sounds good. Appreciate it. So Dog Drop, we're building the most convenient dog daycare ever. So what that means is smaller footprints. We want to put dog drops on the ground floor of apartment buildings. So where people and their dogs already live, work, and play. And it's a membership model where members could access any dog drop location and drop their dog off for 30 minutes or for all day.
I love that concept. I have four dogs, work from home. And when we're not there, like right now, the step parents take care of them. But I can very much see that concept in busy San Francisco or anywhere where people have 9 to 5s and actually need to get there. For most people, it sucks to leave their furry friends behind and unguarded. Sometimes they make a mess, especially in the early days. So, how did you get the idea?
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I got the idea because I was working from home most of the time. And so I thought I was more than capable to take care of my dog. I'm sitting at the house all day anyway. But I realized quickly I wasn't able to give her the socialization or attention that she needed. She was kind of always at my leg here while I was at the desk. I'd take her out for a walk and she would come back and look at me like, that's it. And I'm like, hey, we were out of the house for 45 minutes. And so then I tried Dog Daycare, and that's what Dog Drop is really based upon, is this ability for quick stops to drop your dog off for even an hour at a time, whether you live nearby and you're working from home, whether you're going to the gym next door and want to drop off your dog as well for an hour, and really focused on convenience for your dog to get the socialization that they need while you're busy, even if you're sitting at home.
My brain is like, yeah, most humans would prefer to be a dog for a lot of scenarios in which like the dog gets so much like attention and what they want. But yeah, I mean, in nature, right, they're always playing and socializing. I'm getting a rain check off that because I have four, and they just play with one another, so they get the proper socialization. But that's quite exceptional and unconventional, like the dogs that my parents had before they were solo dogs, and yeah, they must get pretty bored at some point. So, what are the economics there? Let's say that I drop my dog. Is it a subscription? Then do you give it food, water? Do you play with the dog? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, so it's a membership model, and we have a couple different membership tiers based on people's utilization, and they can always go over their tier. So, for example, our most popular tier, it's around $150 per month. It'll vary by market, and so that one would give you either 3 full days or 15 separate hours to drop your dog off, and your credit card is saved on your account too. So if you use more, it's sort of like Uber, just your card's on file, check in, check out. You never have to touch it. We build all the technology ourselves to really provide a smooth member experience. And while dogs are under our care, we have all of our droperators, the daycare attendants, are CPR certified. They're trained in dog behavior. They're focusing on dog enrichment throughout the day. So we have different activities going on. And of course, there's always access to fresh water. And if your dog needs a feeding, we can do that separately with them in the back.
I want to talk about your past life slash career, which is quite unconventional. So you photograph celebrities, you worked in China, you were a lacrosse coach, like you did so many things. Like who are you as a person, and do you feel you were made for the startup life?
Yeah, I think my background, I just really like to follow whatever my interests are and whether there's problems at hand. Too, I spent around 4 years living and working in China. And so at that time, I fell in love with the startup scene over there. I was working with early stage companies from consumer electronics to an early stage electric vehicle company. So when I moved back to the US and I got my dog, I wasn't necessarily looking to start a pet care startup, or definitely not looking to start a franchise business as well, but got fixated on the idea and thought I was the right person to solve it, from understanding customer experience, especially on the human side, from understanding how to connect an offline to an online experience. So we build that through our digital web app platform too, and then really creating a place for employees to grow.
Why franchise? Why the franchising model?
Yeah, I think for us, the franchise model is super exciting. And I think over the next few years, we're going to see a handful of even SaaS businesses kind of look at now offering an entire business as a service, which ultimately is franchising. So when we looked at the initial problem, it was providing convenient quality daycare was the physical experience. So building out retail locations rather than off the side of a freeway in an old strip mall and a warehouse style doggy daycare, we can get prime real estate, where your apartment is necessarily. And then came the technology aspect too. And so I think we didn't want to just sell our technology and provide a better web experience or SaaS experience too to our customers, and then them still go to kind of a crappy old dog daycare. So we decided to look at offering everything and build the operations. We build the brand, the technology, and the playbooks. And franchising allows us to scale that model more efficiently and find local operators who, especially in the pet care business, trust is super important. So a local dog daycare operator or entrepreneur to actually run that business in their market.
So, how many locations you have right now?
We currently have 3 open and a handful more under development. We're operating now in Los Angeles and Denver, and we have 5 locations under development in Fort Lauderdale, Miami area, with the first one opening there in around early May.
I really like the model. So what did you learn from the first location that you opened? I see separate feeding here, safety gates, multiple rooms, enrichment toys. So like what mess happened at first? What did you learn from trying to scale?
Yeah, I think our first location, we started with a pilot location, so a smaller space, and we really wanted to base it off of our kind of 3 thesis points to see if it works. Like, one, can we get these convenient spaces and also have developers or landlords help subsidize some of our costs as well, because we position ourselves as an amenity for their residents. So we were able to prove that out. The second one was, do people and their dogs want to drop their dog off for like an hour at a time? Or are they like, I'm home anyway, I don't need it. So pretty quickly, we actually launched right before COVID. So more than ever, we were able to prove that everyone's sitting at home, but they still want to get their dogs out for a couple hours. So we had that proof point. And then the third proof point is, of course, how much can you get someone to spend? What's the price point so that the economics make sense? So that's really what we focused on with the first location before scaling it and then, optimizing the day-to-day operations.
And the landlords, do they want to rent to you? Because it seems that, dogs make messes. So like, how do you convince them to rent you that space without you leaving it a total mess?
Yeah, it's actually the opposite. We get inbound all the time because these large apartment complex landlords are looking for amenities to attract residents and retain them. And that everyone knows, most folks, actually about 65% of apartment renters own dogs. So pet amenities are the number 1 requested amenity.
Yeah, or actually the dog's not to make a mess up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So what are the economics? You have 3 locations right now. You charge, I guess most like take the 700 a month unlimited package. Like how much clients do you run per location?
Yeah, it'll depend on the square foot of the space, but our typical model of around 2,500 square feet, you can have anywhere between 3 to 350 monthly members, and it will vary on what membership tier they're at as well. But that's how we look at it. And then we look at getting our monthly members to spend X per month. We're able to reduce our overhead costs from rent, especially as I mentioned, because we work with landlords in more unique ways. And then really it's just really on the manager to manage labor.
So you mentioned 300 here, so that would be 210K per month if they all go on the unlimited pack.
Yeah, of course, they don't all go on unlimited, because we wouldn't have space. So that would make an assumption that around 300 plus dogs are there almost every day. So it'll vary. And so as a franchise business, we can only disclose what economics we have in our FDD. But if someone's interested, we could always dive into that later.
So to pay a franchise, I need to drop 100K, let's say, and give you 5% of my sales. How does that work?
Every franchise business is different and will vary. You typically have a franchise fee, and then you need to pay for the initial, whatever your business initial startup costs are. We have like a brick and mortar store, so initial construction, getting it ready, marketing budget, and then different franchisors will vary their royalties. So you pay like a royalty or brand fund. Ours are 7% and 2%.
So you started that 5 years ago and only three locations. What is stopping you from growing? Because I love the idea. And also, do you have competition doing that? Seems that it's pretty easy, or not easy, but like it's a good idea, right? So you have competition.
Yeah, so our goal as a franchisor is to make sure that we're setting our franchisees up for success. So we've taken a lot of time to prove out the model. So you don't want to franchise a business after day one because you're selling that business to hundreds of people in the future. So they want someone who's run the business, gone through a few different waves of different seasons, different years, making sure that they can operate the business for a handful of years before scaling it. As well, we're at the point where we've been able to prove out that model. So then now we can feel confident in towards selling people and charging someone for that model. As well, when it comes to competition, of course, I always say the competition is someone that will watch your dog for free, or not going, right? So there's always like there's big box dog daycare boarding facilities or something like that. But there's not as much in more urban areas, more convenient spaces as well.
And to me, it seems like a no-brainer that if I would be like this busy tech executive living in a condo in LA or SF, I wouldn't want to leave my pet, or maybe, yeah, the competition just leaving the pet alone. Um, or yeah, spending $700 to have it there. So it's like, why are not like more people thinking about this? Is it a lack of empathy for their creature? Like, why isn't this catching up more?
I think right now we're on a wave of it. There's a lot of businesses right now that are going after the pet care market. We're preparing to grow pretty rapidly, so I think we're right on the brink of the overall growth within this market.
So let's say that I start my own franchise. I mean, I'm pignon sur rue, like they say in French. I have directly a spot on the street. People can see me there. Like, what do you recommend to attract customers? Like Facebook ads? What kind of marketing do you deploy?
Yeah, as a franchisor, we provide most of the marketing support as well, especially on the lead generation side. So of course, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, all the obvious ones, but really for this type of business, local marketing is super important. So we even partner with the apartment complexes nearby, other local businesses, whether it's a gym or co-working space. And so that's why the franchise model is exciting because there's a local owner operator in that market who can build those local on the ground business development relationships.
So the rent would be the main cost, like let's say 10K a month, and let's say like at least 5K in advertising per month.
We require our franchisees to spend a minimum of 2K per month on marketing. And of course, you can ramp it up. And especially when you open a new store, you should be spending a lot more as well to ramp up your membership base.
So typical franchises, you recuperate your investment in 5 to 10 years. In your case, ideally it would be year two, year three.
I don't know if there's an exact typical recoup in the entire industry, But I think that's generally would be our goal for franchisees. But of course, it ultimately depends on the operator, right? What are they putting into their business? They're running their business. We can provide only so much support. So if they're all in, their business will grow faster.
Love it. Logistically and operational wise, do you get into problems from handling so many dogs? Do some dogs make total mess? Do you have to fire some dogs because they just misbehave, or is that an actual opportunity?
So during the member onboarding process, each dog goes through a good fit test, which is a dog behavioral assessment as well. So all of our locations, it's a standardized test, a good fit test. We want to make sure that our space is good for their dog and vice versa, so that we're able to vet out most of the dogs. And of course, it's not going to be perfect. There'll be months later or behavior. Dogs are, they're animals, they're not machines. Their behavior changes over time. So we're consistently evaluating how they are.
Do you go take them for walks? How does that work?
Our business is primarily focused on the daycare, so we don't do any outdoor walking, but we can partner with someone else that does.
And yeah, there's opportunities for reselling dog discipline, quote unquote, or training. Maybe like even some reselling some products like CBDs work certainly with my dog to have them chill out. Like, what are other partnerships opportunities there?
Yeah, we have our own product line as well with compostable wipe bags, with pond bum wipes and dog bowls. But of course, pet CBD is very popular, so we can work with different companies and we'll do pop-ups or local events hosted at our locations where we can work with different suppliers.
What are your priorities this year as a CEO?
Our top priority is just expanding footprint. So opening more doors on franchise development side. So we have a handful of other locations or other markets, I should say, in the pipeline right now, and that's where we're focused on.
I guess getting additional investments as well.
Like any founder, you're always one eye. You should always sort of be fundraising. Right now, we closed our latest round in May of 2023, so about 7 months ago from this time. So it's not a top priority, but always preparing to hit our milestones for the next fundraising round.
How can you make your product experience better from the fears that the consumers may have leaving their dogs and also the moment they enter the door?
Do you mean on like a digital product side or the experience? Kind of walk me through what
The
the digital.
boats, yeah. So like the ad, the video that you have on the website to actually convince to bring their dogs, and the moment they enter the door, which I guess is the second very significant moment.
Yeah, so on the lead generation side, right, first we're getting leads and then we'll follow up with them to actually book their good fit test. And so for someone, we have someone in-house on our team that calls up with someone to complete the booking. We'll get the dog's vaccination records from their vet so that we provide a very high touch and seamless experience for the customer. So they don't now have to try to get their vaccination info from the vet and have a higher barrier to entry. And so once they make it into our doors, it's already pretty of like a high intent sale. It's very customary if you're going to a high end gym. Think of like an Equinox when they give you the tour. You're like, I already sort of know I need the gym, but thanks for showing me what the bathroom looks like or the weight room. You're probably already going to sign up anyway by the time you were there. So that experience really starts from the time we get the lead to us following up with them via phone or text and letting them know this is the kind of experience and consistency they can expect from us.
What is the future of pet tech? If you would picture yourself 100 years in the future, like what would these doggies of ours experience, and what would be the future of owning a pet and providing them the best experience possible?
Yeah, so I think about this in a lot of ways, even before starting Dog Drop, because my background was more in hardware. So is that a hardware device that's engaging with your dog at home, right? So instead of them just sitting on the couch all day, can they engage with the device? And there are many alternatives to that right now. but we know ultimately that dogs inherently are more pack animals, that they really thrive. Even your four dogs, that probably is more than enough for them, that they thrive off of that interaction. So when I think about it from our business, how can we still provide that experience for dogs to experience other dogs, but now automate that from a human experience? So getting their dog to our facilities easier, the check-in, check-out, the drop-off process, all of the things, the updates that our team provides. So our team will provide an update when your dog, everything went to the bathroom, to their feeding, or if they didn't eat all their food, who their dog is playing with, all the things as a pet parent that you want to hear about. But now how can we use technology to provide that faster to them, more efficiently, and ultimately without a human involved with that communication?
Are we humanizing our dogs, and are our dogs dogifying us?
Think it's probably a two-way street. There is the humanization of pets trend, right? And I think we think about this, especially over the last 10 years, how over in the entire pet care market, people now, they're feeding their dog fresh food, they're feeding their dog raw food. They don't just believe in the, 30-pound bag from Costco anymore. They're, making sure some people even buy a mini refrigerator to host their dog's food, right? And so we see this all the time. And then that socialization and overall dog wellness is catching up to the overall market trend. So, and then of course, I think there are many companies that ultimately say, hey, dogs still want to be a dog too. So you see the exact opposite, like, no, my dog doesn't want to be a vegan. They want to eat meat, right? Or but companies are saying, no, we can go off of a more sustainable vegan diet too. So it's kind of back and forth who's dogifying or humanizing each way. And I think it's up to each dog parent and family to see what works best for them.
What have you learned from dogs?
I think the most obvious is like unconditional love. I think any dog parent can say that their dog just absolutely loves them no matter what. That excitement from nothing else matters when they walk in the door, and to be very present.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Where can
What
people find
what
out
have you learned about what have you learned from your dogs?
liberty, I guess, and sort of being a forever child, and always be playful.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not just always their presence and their quote unquote happiness, because that's humanizing them. But I'm also about to say a human thing. They forgive quickly. Sometimes you make errors, right? And you're like angry at them for no reason, and like right after they're wagging the tail, so yeah, they're beautiful creature. And yeah, they're part of my life now. I'm been away from there since 4 days, about to be back in touch with them in three. And yeah, it's gonna be pretty fun. It's like a party every time they see us. So
Yeah.
they're nice little creatures. Where can people find out more about you, Shaina?
Yeah, feel free to check out our website at dogdrop.co, and you could also follow me on X at Shaina Denny.